Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Marie Thouin. I'm the author of What is Compersion? Understanding Positive Empathy in Consensually Non-Monogamous Relationship. And I'm a relationship coach who also does research on compersion, jealousy, and non-conventional relationships. And right now I'm doing this wonderful research project on the erotization of jealousy and the connection between erotic jealousy and erotic compersion. And I'm super excited to have my dear colleague, Elaine Love, with me to talk about this topic. Elaine is a threesome facilitator and a co-facilitator of a workshop called the Jealousy Playground, where they actually play with the erotic side of jealousy. So I was so excited to have the opportunity to talk to her about what she's learned both personally and through the multiple facets of her work about this really juicy topic. So, Elaine, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit and tell us about what you do in those two arenas of threesome facilitation and the workshop called the Jealousy Playground?
Thank you so much for the intro, Marie. It's so good to be here with you. Hello, everybody. So what is a threesome facilitator, right? What is that? I always get asked, what do you actually do? Well, I take couples on a very deep journey. And yes, I am the third. And we go through a multi-session journey where we practice consent and connection games, and we explore what is it like to have a third with us before we then dive into free play and really explore in an organic unfolding. And that obviously brings up the potential of jealousy. So helping couples navigate jealousy and feel safe to express it is one of my core focus areas. So I'm really excited to talk about this today. And yes, the Jealousy Playground just happened just last weekend for the second time. And it's an incredible co-creation. I'm working with Leslie Rogers from the Light Dark Institute and Adam Jacksfield from Playing in the Dark. And we focus on how do we get off on jealousy? How do we remove all the crunch and the suppression, the resistance, and just let it actually flow? Because when we unlock the energy to flow, when we stop to make it wrong, it's incredible how much turn on there is, right? It's just, and it's an expression of desire and aliveness. So yeah, that workshop just happened, the Jealousy Playground, and it was fantastic.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to hear more about it. I would have loved to be there if I didn't have a prior commitment because it is so squarely what I'm researching. Like, how do we take away some of the shame and the taboo from that topic of eroticizing jealousy and really discover like the energy, the potential, the eros, and potentially the transformative aspect of jealousy when we allow it to come to the light.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, your topic is compersion. I refer to myself as a compersion engineer because I really create the environments and the situations and the dynamics where people can experience compersion and often for the very first time ever. And of course, it's in that same arena that jealousy might burst out and might erupt. And so it's really about this dance. How do we move between them and don't wrong either? I want to say in my journeys, I'm not trying to poke.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm not trying to trigger jealousy. The opposite. I focus on how can we create compersion because for most people that is a completely new concept and they haven't experienced it or they wouldn't know how to tap into it. So that is my focus in the journey. Different from the jealousy playground where we do poke and intentionally go into the crunchy bits. Um,
Beautiful. So I'd love to go a little bit more into like your work as a threesome facilitator and how do you work with jealousy when it comes up? Like what typically happens? I'm assuming when you work with a heterosexual couple, typically the woman might feel jealous of having suddenly a third in the picture, a wonderful, attractive woman interact with her husband or her spouse or her, I mean, her partner in that situation. So Could you share a little bit about how that typically comes up and how do you address it and how do you bring a healing or a soothing component in that dynamic?
Yeah. So yes, most of the couples I work with are heterosexual, and yes, as you say, there is definitely higher potential for the female partner to feel jealousy with me coming in as another female. There are still situations where also the male partners feel left out,
Mhm.
especially if the partner is known to be bisexual. And
Mhm.
then the man can very much also feel like, whoa, is my partner more interested in the female? But definitely in many situations, it's the women who I hold with particular care and awareness that jealousy might come up. So what I do is that the first big immersion in the journey is focused on games. For the structure, we
Mhm.
actually explore jealousy intentionally. We go bit by bit. We pause after every round of games. And so you will see your partner touch me, or you will see your partner being touched by me. And I bring various tools of how can I stay connected? How can
Mhm.
I actually bring myself in? Maybe I want to direct the scene, but
Mhm.
I'm still experiencing a level of control, and that brings one level of safety. We also always check in with each other and say, like, how is this for you right now? I think having pauses is just so essential so we can actually take stock and be like, well, what is happening?
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
often we just get carried away. Things feel good, things are exciting, right? And then suddenly it's like, oh, but I missed the point where jealousy got really strong and now it hurts and now I don't know how to deal with it anymore. So doing lots and lots of check-ins is really important.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious about like, does the jealousy that arises in that setting, like, does it ever become erotic or eroticized?
Yes, I can tell you about a very specific situation. So this was in the second immersion where we focus on free play, right? So in first immersion, we get to know each other, we build tools. I
Mm.
tell them, whatever challenging emotions come up, your main job is to name them and
Mhm.
actually allow us to be with them.
Yeah.
And so in the second immersion, as we're exploring free play, building on all the rapport we've built, build on all the tools we have established, I was with this couple. They've been together for 30 years, and it was a moment where it got very, very hot and spicy between him and me.
Ooh.
And I was like, "Whew, okay, I'm really feeling turned on. I can sense he's really turned on."
Hmm.
She was sitting next to us.
Hmm.
I flipped over at her and was like, "I just want to remind you, you have full permission to express your jealousy. You have full permission to express your possessiveness.
Hmm.
I invite you to bring it. It would be so hot to feel your possessiveness and your desire for your husband and how much you want him to be yours." And I turned back to him and we continued to make out and to connect. And then at one point, she was like, enough. And she just literally pushed me off him
Wow.
and jumped on him and mounted him. And they started to make love. And it was so hot. It was so freaking hot.
Wow.
Like after 30 years of being together, to feel this like desire, this like fire to be fully possessed. Oh my God.
Hmm.
It was really extremely it was an extremely memorable moment, and the couple has shared that they have gone on to have the hottest sex they've had in years for
Wow.
months to follow. So
Wow.
I think it really is a way to reignite.
Hmm.
I look at somebody and I'm like, whew, your partner's so damn hot and I'm turned on. They get to see the partner also through new eyes. They
Yeah.
realize, oh, somebody else really wants my partner. Well, I remember now why I wanted you, and I recognize you are so damn hot, and I want you to be mine. And this is
Mhm.
you're my partner, right? It's really beautiful when we allow ourselves to feel it fully. So I try to give permission
Mhm.
because yeah, like as long as you hold it in, you're like, "Ah, feeling jealous and I don't know what to do with it." That's when it gets difficult, right? When we suppress it, it becomes all this stuckness. And it's like, oh, I shouldn't be jealous. I shouldn't be jealous. I shouldn't stop my partner from having all this pleasure. No,
Mhm.
letting it out, letting the jealousy, letting the possessiveness just come out. It's delicious. It's so
Oh my
delicious.
gosh. Oh, that's so hot to think about. And do you think that once people have kind of had these experiences of eroticizing their jealousy, the erotic charge sort of falls away or changes in some way? Like, what do you think about kind of the transformative aspect of the erotic charge once it's played out?
I think the erotic charge gets amplified
Ooh, tell me more.
because I'm allowing eros to flow. I
Mm-hmm.
think definitely this also aligns with my personal experience. Like when I'm saying, "Oh, my jealousy needs to be suppressed," and I like that's what I've been doing for most of my life. I'm like, I must not be jealous, and I cut everything off while I'm clamped down, right? I
Mm-hmm.
contract. There's no more erotic charge here. But
Mm-hmm.
if I say, "Oh," I'm saying yes to my jealousy. Acknowledge, okay, I am jealous. I'm feeling this. What is underneath? What is desire underneath? I want to be with my partner. I want to be the number one, or I want to be included. I want to join that threesome, right? Whatever it is. Um, when I can let that out, it becomes extremely amplified.
Mm-hmm. 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 I feel
So
like,
that is the goal, turning jealousy into turn on.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like, you conceptualize jealousy as like there's desire, and there's a perceived threat.
Hmm.
And in general, we also put like shame on top of it. And so it kind of suppresses it and, like doesn't allow it to just be expressed. So if you take away the shame, then you can really like have access to the desire part.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. My experience definitely has been like so much shame around jealousy. It was like, if like my story is if I'm jealous, then I'm complicated. And if I'm complicated, I will be discarded.
Yeah.
So it was never safe for me to feel jealousy. Fortunately, I also have a lot of compersion. But it's only been recent for me that I realized, no, I have both, and the jealousy was just suppressed because it didn't feel safe. And
Mhm.
now that I'm saying yes to my jealousy, because I have also studied with Adam and Leslie, who I'm co-facilitating with,
Mhm.
it's like possessiveness is my newest kink.
Ooh. Mm. Wow.
Yeah, I want to tell you about a specific story. So it was actually at the training with Leslie, the advanced dark play training. And somebody I had connected with at a different training was there, and we were exchanging messages beforehand. I was like, oh my God, so excited to see you again.
Mhm.
And then he hit it off with my metamour, my
Oh.
husband's lover.
Ooh.
And at first I was excited. I was like, oh my God, yeah, these two, that makes so much sense. I'm totally not compersion. I was like, this is great. And I
Mhm.
trusted and assumed that I was going to be perfectly welcome to join them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and then they ended up connecting more and more, just the two of them. And I was still like, oh, I can't wait to join you. And I started to get into my possessiveness. I was really exploring, and I was like, oh, and I could hear them making out in the bed. Like it was like bunk beds in a big room, and I could hear them making out. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to join them the next time. This is going to be great. And it came still from a place of, I think I can have it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that safety of like, oh, I trust that I will be included made it so hot. And yes, I felt left out in that moment. I was like, I'd like to be in that bed with them right now.
Mm-hmm.
And trusting that there was still an opening allowed me to just totally enjoy this possessiveness and this rush of energy going through me. I was so turned on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it didn't turn out for me to be included
Oh.
anymore. We're still friends, but they've gone off on their own. So then I definitely got to sit with my devastation and despair, and that was painful. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my experience is when I'm on the inside, when I know I'm included, then I experience compersion. I'm like so happy. Whether that's just in the storytelling, like my husband comes home from a great date and he tells me all the details. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. And I feel included.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm on the outside, I'm like, oh my God, they've gone off on their own and I'm no longer in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
That's just painful for me. It's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm now in despair. I'm out.
Yeah.
I've been I've been discarded at this point. But
Yeah.
when I'm at the edge, when it's like, huh, I think if I wanted to, if I voiced it, I would be able to get in.
Uh-huh.
And if I'm like, there's a desire in me, I want to include myself. Do I
Mm-hmm.
have the courage, right? Then becomes more a question of do I have the courage to speak up? Do I have the courage? How am I going to present it? How do I really let my desire be known?
Mm-hmm.
That I think is the sweet spot where
Mm-hmm.
I can really feel jealousy and then I can move in and include myself. And maybe then it turns into compersion because
Mm-hmm.
then I become a part of it.
Yeah. 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 Wow, that is so powerful because I've often conceptualized like compersion as this feeling of inclusion and jealousy as this feeling of exclusion
Mm.
that is inherently painful. And you're saying that, if you can have kind of both at the same time, like some exclusion or like that kind of sense of threat, but also a sense of inclusion, then, like that's where the erotic zone can happen. Because
Yeah.
almost like if it's too easy to be included, then there might just be that compersion, but without as much like eroticism
Mm-hmm.
attached to
Mm-hmm.
it. Huh.
Yeah. I think it's almost like it's about agency, right? When I'm included, everything's fine, cool, compersion. When I'm totally excluded, I'm like helpless. I don't know anymore how to bring myself in. Then I'm just devastated. But when I'm at the edge of like, I'm not included, but I think I have agency.
Mm.
I have agency to enter. And then I can eroticize it. I mean, when I'm in a cuckolding scene, right? The cuckold knows they could always say, let's stop because it's a consensual play.
Mhm,
So I
mhm.
think that piece, that safety, that perceived safety plays a
Mhm,
major role,
mhm.
that agency.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And if you were to imagine a scene where you're not actually like imagining yourself being physically with them, but it's more of like, let's say your husband is telling you about another relationship where he's very involved, but you're not necessarily going to jump in with them on the date. You can feel included just kind of vicariously, right? Just by
Mhm.
feeling like you are connected to your husband in that. Basically, like inclusion doesn't mean always like, oh, I have to be there physically, sexually.
Absolutely. Emotionally, being emotionally included through transparency, through the storytelling, through the sharing of the experience, even if it is in hindsight. Yeah, to me, within me, that creates huge compersion.
Right. And inclusion is about connection, like
Hmm.
emotional connection and or physical connection. So as long as there's enough of that connection that keeps you like, oh yeah, like I'm part of this. I'm in my agency, I'm in my power. I'm not just like on the outside feeling disconnected or disempowered or helpless. Yeah. Yeah, it's like when there's this book, like Jack Morin's The Erotic Mind, and he came up with that equation of like, like sexual desire or eros is about desire plus obstacle.
Hmm.
Like if there's not an obstacle, then like the erotic zone is not going to be as vibrant and powerful, and of course, if there's only an obstacle and not enough desire, then that's not going to work either. But what you're talking about is like, ooh, there's a distance that allows you to really enhance your desire.
Exactly. Yeah. So when I work with couples, right, in a threesome journey, I am in a way the obstacle that
Yeah.
really allows them to reignite their desire. And for me to come in as this new presence, as this obstacle,
Mhm.
oh my God, it makes the desire go through the roof.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, that's amazing. Like they have than something to reclaim.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think a big part of it is that I welcome that, right? That I say possessiveness is hot,
Yeah.
but like allow it to flow.
Mhm.
And that's a key piece that I am giving permission. I've also had experiences, right? Possessiveness is when I'm like big. I want to make myself bigger and I want to claim and I'm full in my power. And then there's the flip side of like I'm actually in power under, I'm collapsing.
Mhm.
And I can find connection when I'm vulnerable about how insecure I am, right? There's an opening if I'm like, whoa, I really need some reassurance right now. Can you
Mhm.
please tell me that you love me? Tell me
Mhm.
that I matter to you. I
Yeah.
really need your care right now. I need
Mhm.
you to focus on me.
Right, right. It's not always about the erotic path.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can't eroticize something. We just have to totally like be vulnerable and break down for a moment and let ourselves be that little kid.
Yeah. I'm currently again going through that with a lover who I'm very deeply in love with. And we really fell in love much more deeply when I experienced jealousy around him. And I used all the tools that I had, you know? In the first round, I was just in insecurity and vulnerability. And I was validating my own insecurity. I was validating my own jealousy without making it wrong,
Mhm.
without making him wrong. And so
Mhm.
he could just meet me and give me the reassurance that I needed.
Yeah.
And that's like a year into our relationship. I feel like it brought such an emotional deepening
Mhm.
that I was really like, oh my God, I'm totally fucking in love with you because I
Mm.
was met with such sweetness and such care. And now we're having a similar round again. And oh my God, I'm crying so much the last weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Um, and again, the that I by not shutting it down, and trust me, it took me some while to not shut it down because my story is that if I'm complicated, I will get discarded.
Mhm. Mhm.
So holding my jealousy with
Mhm.
love and saying like, no, my needs are important. I will speak up for my needs.
Mm.
It it allows me to present my needs in a way that is not trying to suffocate him. That's not saying whatever you're doing with somebody else is not okay. It's just like, hey, I need some reassurance. Do I
Mhm.
matter to you? I haven't seen you in so long. I really need to speak with you.
Right.
And so that I think that that purity of that clarity of needs is really potent in creating deep connection. Yeah.
Well, you're giving voice to your desire,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is inherently a bid for connection. It's saying,
Yeah.
I desire you.
Yeah. I want more of you.
Yes,
I need more
yes.
of you. I really need to hear your voice right now. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I've heard so many people say that, like when they have a lover who's jealous, it really turns them on because it makes them feel more desired. And we could say that on the one hand, it's a product of mononormativity that kind of equates jealousy with a proof of love, and in non-monogamy, we have to dismantle that,
Mhm.
which is true. But to some extent, I think we're also maybe throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, well, if you just tell yourself that jealousy is bad and this person loves you anyway, like, and kind of trying to just get rid of the whole thing, you're missing on the powerful, like, expression of desire that does come along with jealousy.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it's fascinating for me in this particular lovership what a pivotal role jealousy really plays. Um, and it's not like nothing like that in my relationship with my husband. That's
Uh,
pure compersion. Like I've experienced jealousy with him once at the very beginning of our relationship. But otherwise, it's all compersion, super easy because there's so much safety and I
yeah.
feel so included. And I hear all the stories about what's happening and I love to hear them. And with
Mhm.
this lover, he's just very unavailable. Like in terms of time, I just don't get to see him often enough. And I feel so in love. And so it's like, would you spend time with somebody else? And I'm like, anybody else gets time with you. That's because I'm coming from such a place of lack in a way. And at the same time, this longing is so delicious.
Mhm.
I think where I feel like longing can be a real kink as well. And clearly, there's a part of me that is totally enjoying the longing.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that you can theoretically eroticize any emotion?
Yeah, yeah, probably. But I think it depends a little on the definition of eros as well.
Hmm, hmm.
Where I would describe eros very much like I would translate it more in the tantric translation of aliveness,
Hmm,
of
hmm.
life force,
Right.
right? I think I can feel anger
Hmm,
and feel so much aliveness and
hmm.
feel my body and feel energy just pulsing through my body and I can feel my heartbeat and I can feel how my fingers want to clench and I mean I really use emotional release tools and I pound pillows and scream into my hands and all of those things. Um, so I would say that is in a way erotic if
Yeah.
I consider erotic as aliveness, as life force.
Hmm.
Um, do you want to make love in that state? I think that's a different question.
Yeah. Oh, I love that nuance. Yeah, like eroticism in a way, like with that broad lens, is really just about removing shame and suppression
Yeah,
from our emotions, from our experience. And from there we can really like feel the energy of life through anything and
yeah.
everything.
Do I find it attractive if I witness my husband going through a big emotional process when we're in some tantra training and he's like raging and expressing with like so much intensity? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I maybe don't want to have sex with him in this moment, but
Uh,
I'm deeply attracted to the intensity of his
mm. Yeah, yeah. And I can see how like just removing the lid from any emotion can lead to this just like bigger sexual tension.
Yeah, there is beauty in the rawness of our emotional body.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. And jealousy is such a ingrained raw emotion. Like babies actually feel it from 6 months old. It's been observed that, a baby witnessing their caregiver, their mom, paying attention to someone else or to another baby, will create a jealous reaction. So it's this very visceral, very animalistic emotion. Like
Mhm.
we can't just get rid of jealousy, but we can work to, like play with it and harness it. I think kind of
Yeah.
like becoming a master of jealousy is a better goal than trying to eradicate it.
Oh my God, that's a great quote.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, masters of jealousy. Ooh, that could be another workshop. Because I hear so much about, like controlling jealousy or dealing with jealousy. Like dealing with jealousy is like, okay, we're gonna deal with this problem. It's in a way like making it into a pain in the ass.
Hmm.
Mastering it is like, ooh, you're dealing with this dragon, with this force of nature, and you're learning to actually like harness it so that you can fly with it rather than trying to like put it in a cage.
That's such a beautiful image. Yes. Yeah. In the jealousy playground, we're definitely inviting jealousy to play. We're
Mhm.
saying yes to it. We're trying to make it bigger. We're
Yeah.
removing the censorship. We're allowing it to be fully expressed. And also with that, to really listen to what are the nuances and what are the messages, right? Like, what is the desire underneath? What do
Hmm.
I actually want? What is the thing that I'm trying to get and that would feel fulfilling and nourishing? Because if I'm trying to push it away, I can't even get in touch with the desire. And then it comes out sideways anyways, and in
Mm-hmm.
such crooked ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really interesting in the jealousy playground. We explore a lot, like how does jealousy come out sideways for you? But it's like, oh, all my metamours are just not attractive, right? Like all the criticism of other people that they're not good enough is a classic example.
Yeah, like the passive aggressive manifestations of
Hmm. Yeah,
jealousy,
I hear that a lot.
the subtle sabotage, of like trying to sabotage someone else rather than elevate them, or sabotage your partners other relationships in ways that you don't totally want to be explicit about. It's kind of a, subtle, dishonest behavior, but it is not allowing for that full healing, full expression, full catharsis. Because I think we're so trained to think that our desires are only valid if the other person says yes.
Yeah. And then my desire comes out in a different way, right? And I'm like, oh my God, will you please, please, please validate my desire? I don't know whether my desire is valid. So it's also a different thing to start to present my desire already from a place of like, let me hold my desire, let me cherish my desire. And now I'm gonna bring it, knowing that I love my desire and I'm not trying to burden you with responsibility around it. I'm
Mhm.
just letting you know. And
Mm.
if you game, awesome.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But I'm already standing in my own power here with my desire. I'm already saying yes to my own desire. It's okay if you don't say yes to this desire, but I will.
Yeah.
And I imagine with that experience of jealousy, like to, start with like, yes, I'm saying yes to my jealousy. I'm
Hmm.
ashamed from it. Like that's the first step to kind of creating this erotic tension.
Exactly. Yeah. Full permission. Full
Oh
permission for the desire, full permission for the possessiveness.
oh my gosh, that's so alluring and healing at the same time. Mm. Your wisdom is so needed in the world. It is so juicy, um so healing and full of light, bringing, like this light into a space that is such in the shadow. It's like rescuing jealousy from the shadow. How I would describe what I see you do.
Interesting. Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, in many ways, the way we frame it, inspired by the work of the Light Dark Institute, is light work is when I'm like working with affirmations and I try to be a better person and I try to improve myself. And dark work is to say, no, I'm just going to say yes to my shadow. I'm going to explore my shadow and I'm going to hold my jealousy. I'm going to hold my neediness. I'm going to be there. And I'm going to let all the things be expressed and felt
Mhm.
without censorship, without making it wrong, to really learn what is actually there.
Mhm.
So maybe it's not so much of bringing the jealousy into the light, but to actually embrace the darkness that
Mhm.
jealousy sits in
Yeah.
and stop wronging it and finding comfort in the darkness.
Yeah, yeah. Like the word that comes to mind is reclamation. It's like you're
Mm.
reclaiming something that's been
Mm.
ostracized and pushed into a cave,
Yes.
shadows, into the, oh, you must not be that. And it's funny that we use the same word to say like, oh, I'm gonna reclaim my partner, like yeah, it's this feeling of like, ooh, like that expression of reclaiming something that's been lost, being able to experience it in a context of connection rather than a context of disconnection,
Hmm.
I think is another big key.
Yeah. Also, I like your wordplay around reclaiming, owning as well, right? We say own your feelings,
Yeah.
own your jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
But we also work in kink, we work a lot with ownership, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and even our language is full of ownership. Like you've heard me say my husband and my lover several times. I'll share my husband with anybody, but he's my husband.
Uh-huh.
I'm not trying to hide that I'm trying to be possessive here.
Right.
There is turn on in claiming and saying, like, you belong to me. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, it's an illusion. I mean, we're projecting on people all the time, anyways, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we might as well do it intentionally and consciously.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna enjoy calling you my husband. I'm gonna enjoy calling you my lover.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
find with that, like when I own so fully, when I give myself permission to own, I can also own your pleasure and your turn on. It's like your, whatever you experience with somebody else, I'm still enjoying it because I own you and your pleasure with others. So it becomes a part of me. So it becomes fuel for my own turn on, for my own aliveness.
Mm. Mm-hmm. And in a way, that possessiveness sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like it does not require exclusivity. Like a lover of his might be like, hey, you are my lover. And that wouldn't take anything away from you saying, like, wow, you're my husband, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. It has no, it doesn't, it's all projection anyways. We project on each other all the time, right?
Hmm.
So why would we not just play with it more intentionally?
I love that concept of like non-exclusive possessiveness. It's such a paradox. But I feel like that's such a key, kind of like one of those like, like keys that can resolve a gridlock. It's like you can be possessive and non-possessive at the same time.
Yeah, yeah,
You can be jealous and compersive at the same time.
100%.
And why wouldn't you be? Why wouldn't you allow everything? And you can feel all these emotions and treat your partner really well.
Hmm.
Because I think why we think that jealousy is bad is because usually it can lead to bad behavior, to not treating each other well. Historically and currently, like people typically like just translate their jealousy into control and shame and like I must, like limit your freedom because I feel jealous. But what if we can say like, I feel jealous and it doesn't have anything to do with what you can or can't do. I'm not here to control you, but like I claim my jealousy. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I am so grateful for this conversation, Elaine. I am just like like blown away. There's so much wisdom that came out of this. Thank you so much. Well, I am excited to continue the conversation in the future as we both learn and grow in these passions of ours. I'm so happy that we met. And do you want to just tell people where to find you if they're interested in your services, either as a threesome facilitator or in workshop facilitation?
Absolutely, yes. Um, Please feel free to check out my website. It's elaine-love.com, where you can find out everything about my threesome journeys and other ways I work with couples. And future Jealousy Playground workshops will also be announced on my website. Probably we'll have at least one more coming up next year, 2026.
Yay, I want to be
Yes,
there.
please. We'll love to have you.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. And thanks for everyone who's watching.
Thank you so much, Marie. It's been such a delight to be here with you.
Likewise.